Hello, this is coronavirus update um, for April 18, 2020. As you see, I'm wearing my mask, homemade mask, and it's covering my nose and it's covering my mouth. And I just made the space a little bit longer so virus will not go enter it in. If you make it like this, you may get loose and then um, you know, virus can enter through your mouth or your nose. You gotta make sure your nose is covered and your mouth is covered. I kind of look like a bandit. No, I'm not here to rob you. No, no, I'm just here to shop, buy groceries. But yeah, but this is a suggestion that President Trump gave, and cover your nose and cover your mouth, and it's the right direction, obviously. Um, but I guess it's kind of hard to see who the people are when they have their nose and mouth covered. Hopefully, people don't go robbing restaurants, grocery stores, and other places. You know, because this is not the right time to do it. But if you're a shop owner or a restaurant owner, obviously you probably want some protection since everybody has to cover their face in order to block the spread of COVID. But it does raise some questions about safety, identity, because how are you going to monitor people when they have their faces covered? But they do have to keep their faces covered just to be safe. Um, so it's good that there is a stay at home order in effect, because if a lot of people are walking around the street with their face covered like this and you don't know who they are, especially if they're wearing a hat or something, criminals can rape, rob, do all kinds of criminal stuff and get away without any problem. If there are like hundreds of people in the street, um, then it becomes a problem because everybody has to wear a mask. In some states like New York, if they don't wear a mask, they could go to jail. They have to pay a fine. So when they're outside, they have to wear a mask. So if you allow them to walk around, obviously there are criminals who use that as an excuse to rape people in alleyways or rob people, because it's okay to cover your identity. I mean, they're not saying cover your identity, they're just saying cover your mouth and nose because, you know, I mean, you don't want spreading of COVID. That makes sense because COVID is killing a lot of people in New York, and thousands have died. So obviously, you need to protect New Yorkers from COVID, but who's going to protect New Yorkers from New Yorkers? Capiche? So that is a concern, and I wanted to do this show, Coronavirus Update by Heerak, with a mask on, because when you are in New York, you have to wear a mask when you go outside all the time. You can't take it off, or you could get arrested or pay a fine. So you will be wearing a mask as you talk to people. You can't lower this because if you lower this, you could get infected because your nose is exposed. Uh, and if you open this up or it becomes loose, you can be infected as well, or you could infect others. You see, so but there are other social things you need to think about. Since you have to cover your mouth and nose, and nobody knows who you are, um, that means NYPD, New York Police Department officers will not know who you are either. Do you see? I mean, you have a serious problem in terms of crime control when everybody has their faces covered. That's the reason why generally you don't want people to have their face covered so police officers can stop criminals. But Can you imagine if you have all these people walking around in the street in New York with masks on, and somebody could just stab you to death and walk away? How are you going to find them? So, stab you and then take your wallet, obviously, or your watch, in a very quick, less than a minute kind of thing. Stab you to death with a knife, kitchen knife or whatever that they have underneath their, jacket or whatever, or in their bag. 'Cause they're all covered like this, criminals. They can stab you to death. They don't even have to talk to you. I mean, who's going to catch them? A couple thousand NYPD are sick with COVID. I mean, they're operating with less than what? I don't know how many percent, what the percentages of police officers in NYPD was down with COVID, out sick. I mean, they have less police officers, and they had problem controlling criminals when nobody had their faces covered, and people were walking around with suits to distinguish like rich people from criminals who want to rob them. Well, now how are you going to do that? So, see, this is why you should watch Coronavirus Update by Heerak, because I give you practical advice that could save your life, not just from COVID, but from robbery, armed robbery. They're not going to rob you with a gun. They're just going to use their kitchen knife, which everybody has, stab you in the heart, take all your stuff, walk away. There's going to be a lot of brouhaha, right? Everyone's going to be, oh, this guy's stabbed, call 911. By that time, the killer robber is already gone, and he has this one of these masks that everybody has. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody can describe him. Oh, he's like 5'8", some white guy. How are you gonna discover this guy? Oh, he's like 5'8", white guy. He had a hat on and he had a facial covering, nose and mouth. So we didn't really see him. He looked like he might have been 180, maybe it was 160, maybe it was 200. We're not sure. How are you gonna ever catch this guy? Think about this. So when you are required to wear masks, it's good that there's a stay-at-home order in place because I mean, how are you going to handle the crimes that will definitely rise? I mean, criminals rob for a reason, they rape for a reason, they do all kinds of evil things for a reason. Do you really want your citizens to be walking around in the street with police officers down with COVID-19, like in New York? I mean, that's a question that every mayor has to ask because at the end of the day, if you have a bunch of crimes, violent crimes being committed, because you can't identify the criminals, how are you going to handle that situation? It's not happening now because everybody's at home. I mean, the streets are empty. If a criminal tries to kill someone, I mean, he's going to be caught because there aren't people in the streets. But once you let those people walk around in the streets, how are you going to capture criminals? Everybody's masked. Like in New York State, they have the law, everybody has to be masked. Obviously, Virginia, where we are, we don't have that rule. But people can walk around with their masks. No police officer is gonna say, why do you have your face covered? Nobody in the street will say, well, I have your face covered because this is COVID. You can walk around with a mask like this. Nobody's gonna say anything. Yeah. Anyway, this is a new reality in Virginia and New York. You could go to jail if you don't wear a mask like this all the time. And I assure you, I'm not a robber or a criminal. I'm actually running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th district as an independent candidate for general elections on November 3rd, 2020. My name is Heerak Christian Kim, and look at the photo because that's how I look. But obviously, I'm wearing a mask, so you can't see my face if you're looking at the little screen where I'm talking. So look at the photo. That's how you look. Obviously, when you go to vote for me on November 3rd, 2020, you don't have to know how I look. You just look at my name, Heerak, 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 for Congress, and you just vote for Heerak. And that's November 3rd, 2020 general election. I'm running to be a congressman in Alexandria, Arlington, Falls Church, and Fairfax County. And current congressman is Don Beyer. He's been there for a few terms. He is an auto salesman. He's famous for Bayer Volvo, and he's distinguished himself in that industry. So a lot of people in auto industry respect him. Obviously, I believe I can do a better job than Don Beyer, so that's why I'm running for office. And as you can see, I've created this show, Coronavirus Update by Heerak, in order to help you and your family. So can you imagine how much I can help you and your family if I become your congressman in Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County? I will not be robbing you. I will be helping you. See, I think Democrats are kind of robbing Virginia of a lot of things. One, they support abortion. They're robbing Virginia of little innocent babies who can become great Virginians and contribute to Virginia's economy. So Democrats are robbing you by passing pro-abortion legislation. How else are they robbing you? Democrats support gay marriage. So in a sense, they're encouraging boys to become gay or girls to become lesbians through their aggressive pro-gay push. So if you're heterosexual like me, or many people are heterosexuals, and you want to get married, you may have problem, especially in educated or artsy fartsy. Excuse me for using a popular colloquialism, but in educated areas, I mean, geez, this homosexuality is proliferating because Virginia's Democrats are encouraging Virginia's children to consider homosexuality. So they're robbing Virginia of heterosexuals you can marry. I mean, geez, every time you look at a beautiful lesbian, aren't you angry at Virginia's Democrats? Because they probably would not have become lesbian if Virginia's Democrats do not encourage everybody to consider becoming gay. If you see TV shows, you see a lot of heterosexual beautiful women who are converted to become gay by others because there's this proliferation of homosexuality, proselytism of heterosexual homosexuality by Democrats. And so you should vote for me because I will stop the robbery of future Virginians who can be great through abortion, robbery of heterosexuals who you can marry by proliferation of pro-gay marriage laws with lame excuses. So my official political platform is I will illegalize abortion, I will illegalize gay marriage, and I will bring Virginia back so that you are no longer robbed of all these things. So affiliate yourself with me politically. I'm an independent. So when you vote for me, when you support me, your political affiliation with Heerak, Christian Kim for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. You have now politically affiliated with me, and you're protected by law for your affiliation with me. So you're protected by civil rights laws in the United States of America. Obviously, majority of the Republicans agree with me. They want to illegalize gay marriage. They want to illegalize abortion. So many Republican politicians, activists are working towards that goal. So so you see that. And if you see my videos of speeches, political speeches in Alexandria Republican Committee monthly meeting, Arlington Republican Committee monthly meeting, I have spoken publicly as my political speech, condemning gay marriage and condemning abortion. So it was my official platform, and official platforms that are endorsed or accepted within Republican circles in Virginia, all over Virginia. When I was running as a Republican, but I explained, and you can see video of my speeches. I wanted to run as a Republican, but I didn't have enough donation by the deadline to register as for the Republican primary, and the chairman of the Republican, the Virginia 8th District Republican Committee would not give me an extension or loan, and that's fine. I mean, obviously, that's not a normal practice anyway. That's standard practice, and it was just kind of following the rules. So that's fine. But because I didn't have enough donations and enough money in my account to pay to register for Republican primaries, I am decided to run as an independent. I understand that no other Republican candidate had enough donation to pay to register to run as a primary for Republican primary, so all of them paid out of pocket. That's my understanding. So I'm not the only one, except I'm currently a nursing student at Georgetown University in a 2-year full-time master's program. And so I don't have any money. I'm borrowing $100,000 a year for tuition and related costs. So by the time I graduate from Georgetown University Nursing School in 2020 summer, so this summer, I would have borrowed $200,000 for my nursing education at Georgetown, Masters of Science in Nursing. So I'm doing this to help people because I'm studying nursing to save lives, and which is congruent with why I'm against abortion, right? I want to save lives, so obviously I'm going to oppose abortion, which kills lives. It makes sense, right? So I'm at a Catholic university, Georgetown University, and as you know, Catholic Church's official position is anti-abortion, anti-gay marriage. So my official political position is in line with the official position of the Catholic Church. And since Georgetown University is a Catholic university, it is technically the official position of Georgetown University. So obviously, religiously or politically, that's the official position that I hold. But obviously, it is congruent with Catholic Church, which Georgetown University is part of, and the Republican Party, where I started out in November campaigning. I'm currently an independent, so when you vote for me in November 3rd, 2020, general elections, make sure you vote for my name. And obviously, you'll be very lucky if I become a congressman for you, because I can do a lot of good for you. So I created this program to help you and your family survive COVID-19. It is a global pandemic and it's killing a lot of people. And some of you who are watching me now will die from COVID-19. I'm just being a realist. I don't wish that you will die. That's why I created this show, so you'll survive. So I would encourage you to watch my show religiously every day, because information is power. Information can help you survive. It will give you better chances of surviving if you watch my show and listen to my advice. And so I want to help you. I want to help your family. I want all of you to survive. So that's why I created the show. But I'm a realist. I know that some of you will die. Unfortunately, some of you will die, especially those of you who don't take my advice, those of you who don't watch this show and don't know what's going on. You have a higher chance of dying. So those of you who may watch my show once a week may die just because you're not getting all the good advice that you should be getting. And obviously, it's up to you to accept it or reject it, or follow my advice or not follow my advice. That's your freedom. You're free to do what you want. I suggest you take my advice, because I am the Leonardo da Vinci of my generation. Not just my generation, for 500 years. Since the last Leonardo da Vinci, there hasn't been anybody like me. And if you watch my program from the beginning, or go and watch my programs, because they're all on Heerak Christian Kim for Congress YouTube channel, you understand why that is the case. Now, I have good news and bad news. Good news is death rate has dropped since yesterday. It was over 3,000 yesterday, but it's now over 2,000, but under 3,000. So that's good news. The bad news is still it's over 2,000. And if you have 2,000 deaths every day, in 5 days you have 10,000 deaths. So that's a bad news. But well, let's see if we're going to stay at 2,000 or tomorrow it's going to go up to 3,000 deaths per day. Let's see. On April 17, 2020, we had total death of 36,822. In the 24 hours, we had 2,081 people die. So now we are at 38,903. And then in terms of confirmed cases, yesterday we had 701,131 confirmed cases. And we're going up, around 30,000 every day. So that's been consistent. And the confirmed case today is 734,969. Now, I thought we will revisit the rankings in Europe just to see where they are, because we know that we have 38,903. So, but you may be encouraged to know that we're not alone. European countries are seeing tremendous death rate rising. And these countries are far smaller than United States. United States is 330 million people. And European countries generally are around like 60,000, even the big ones. And so comparatively, their people are dying far at a greater percentage than our people. So that's kind of comforting, because obviously you don't want anybody to die, but I mean, it's good to know that even though there's a lot of Americans dying, it's not as bad as the percentage of people dying in Spain, Italy, France, and United Kingdom, right? It's a little bit comforting, right? That their death rate is much higher than our death rate per 100 citizens. Spain is at number one. They have 194,416 confirmed cases. Their total death rate is 20,639, which is really high for a country that is much smaller than us, right? So I guess they have it worse in Europe. Spain has it worse in terms of percentage. In terms of number, it's lower, but in terms of percentage per capita, per person, or for total number of people in Spain, it's high. Italy is number two. Their cases are at 175,925, but their total death is 23,227 deaths. So in terms of number of deaths, they're higher than Spain. Number three is France at 152,978 cases. Their death is at 19,349. And you gotta ask yourself, when did the death number in France rise so drastically? So it seems like we're gonna have a serious number of people dying in France, because I don't think they've hit the peak yet. They're still far away from the peak, which is a bad news for France. If you're French, what can we say? C'est la vie. C'est la vie. And Germany is lucky. Germany has always been lucky throughout its history for thousands of years. I mean, geez, all the European countries ganged up on Germany in World War II, and there's one country against everybody, one country against the world, and they lost. But they're now number one country in Europe. So I mean, geez, how lucky can you get? Yeah, so Germany is a very lucky country. Oh no, see, with these things, you gotta raise it up every few often, because it starts coming down, and you don't want to get infected. You have to cover your nose hole. Try to cover everything as much as you can. So raise it up as closest to your eye, right? Because you don't want anything going into your nose. Obviously, you don't want anything going into your eyes either. So I have glasses. It kind of blocks people when they talk in their spit and stuff like that. Obviously, they're wearing a mask, so there's no like invisible spit going into my eyeballs. But if you don't have glasses, maybe you should wear glasses, or maybe goggles or something, because virus could enter through your eyeball. That's why they say don't rub your eyes, right? Because it could enter through your eyeball. Yeah. Now, number 5, United Kingdom has 115,314 cases, and total death is at 15,498 deaths. So United Kingdom has the fewest cases, but their death rate is relatively high. So we're probably looking at United Kingdom having a lot of people die. So you feel bad for them, because their death rate is percentage-wise higher than us. Now, because of what's going on, I mean, look at me here. Look at me. I'm wearing a mask and talking to you. And in New York, this is the law. Whenever you go outside, you have to wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth. Look at me. Now, and let's ask this question. I am every man, every woman in New York. This is how you're supposed to look when you go outside. Not exactly the way I look, but you got to wear some kind of covering in your mouth and nose. That's the law now in New York. Now, and I'm going to ask this question in the context of what is going on. Should school districts close for fall 2020? Look at me. Look at the question. What do you think the answer is? Yeah. I mean, it's hard to see the nonverbal communication because my whole face is covered. You can't really see my facial expression. But let's look at just the words and the context. What's going on? Right? You put 1 plus 1, it becomes 2, right? You put 1 and 1 together. I mean, it's what? Self-evident. I mean, we could say we hold this truth to be self-evident. Maybe we can quote from that. Should school districts close for fall 2020? What do you think? Because I value your opinion. I am your leader running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. If you vote for me in November, I will be the U.S. representative in Virginia's 8th District. Every time you have a problem, you write to me, I'll solve it for you, right? Do you feel like Don Beyer is solving your problem now? Is Don Beyer the current U.S. Congressman in Virginia's 8th District? Is he asking these questions that he should be asking? Should school districts close for fall 2020? Why isn't he asking? Because he doesn't have the vision and the leadership that Heerak Christian Kim has. I am Heerak Christian Kim, running as an independent candidate for U.S. Congress in Virginia's district, and you see why you should vote for me. I ask the questions that are important for you, your children, and your family, right? You need to know these things. You need to ask these questions. Is Don Beyer asking these questions? Do you see the difference? What kind of leader do you want? Do you want a leader who asks the questions that you now realize that you should be asking? That you realize it's an important question for you and your family? Or do you want a congressman who doesn't know what he's doing, who's not asking any question? What kind of congressman do you want? I mean, we're in a crisis. Many people are going to die. It's possible we're going to have thousands of people die in Arlington County. And there may be thousands dying in Fairfax County. There may be thousands dying in Alexandria City. And there may be thousands dying in Falls Church City. We just don't know yet what the death toll is going to be because it's just begun, right? It just since March. I mean, it's only April. It's like beginning. They say it's going to take 18 months to develop a vaccine, which means they presume it's going to take at least 18 months, right? They're not giving up on a vaccine because they feel like it's going to continue on and on. That's why they're like, we need a vaccine. But the earliest we can get a vaccine is 18 months. What does that tell you? Obviously, you're a thinking guy, thinking woman. I'm sure you're smart. So you put 1 and 1 together, it becomes a 2. What are they telling you? What are they telling you? They're telling you it's going to continue for at least 18 months. That's why they need a vaccine, but they can't get a vaccine before 18 months because scientists cannot do it. The earliest people can come up with a vaccine is 18 months. they may not even come up with a vaccine in 18 months. It may take longer. See, math is important. I am, as you know, I taught math in Petersburg City Public Schools, 8th graders, and I have my ID here to prove it. Petersburg City Public Schools. I taught at Peabody Middle School, 8th grade math, 4 different classes. One of my classes had over 30 students on day one. I love those kids, but some of those kids were in gangs, had guns, and they were kind of bragging it about it with me. So, were more like threatening me with it. But, I mean, I'd say, I, I mean, they're just 8th graders, right? Yeah, they do have guns. So obviously you got to be careful not to get shot. But, and their threat could be real, but, I mean, you're a teacher, you're kind of like their parents, right? So I kind of see them as my children in a way. So I want them to get better. Some of them are in gangs with guns and doing marijuana and selling marijuana and heroin or whatever their gang is selling. But you want them to come back to the right spot, right? I mean, I had students who would come like at 10 a.m. School starts like a couple hours earlier, 10 a.m. and smelling of marijuana. And Virginia's an 8th district want to legalize marijuana. This is another thing. Virginian Democrats want to rob you and your children of your children's future. And, I tried to bring her back to the right position, guide her toward the path of righteousness, toward the path of a promised filled future. And because I love all my students, I want to help all of them. And so, but Virginia's Democrats do not. They want to legalize marijuana. I mean, marijuana is probably the single most dangerous thing for Petersburg City Public School. 99% of the students in Peabody Middle School were African American. And I talked to the Petersburg City police officer who was stationed inside our school to protect the teachers, and the students from outsiders. And she said the biggest problem in Petersburg is marijuana. I mean, it encourages gangs, people to go into gangs, and a lot of the people who are selling marijuana sell it outside of Petersburg, and they make profit because not too many people have money in Petersburg. But there are people in Richmond with money. There are people in Chesterfield County with money. There are people in Henrico County with money. There are children attending middle schools in these areas who have money. And so, so legalizing marijuana is robbing children of their future. Not just Black children, but white children, Korean children, Chinese children, Vietnamese children, Hispanic children, Mexican children, Guatemalan children, Colombian children, Peruvian children, Ethiopian children, Syrian children, Jordanian children, Eritrean children. Do you see my point? Do you see my point? Democrats in Virginia are robbing your children of their future by legalizing marijuana. Yeah, highway robbery. That's what I said. That's what Democrats do. That's why you should vote against Don Beyer, who supports legalization of marijuana, and vote for me, Heerak Christian Kim, because I'm going to help your children. Now let's go back to this question. Should school districts close for fall 2020? And in Virginia's 8th district, which I would represent if you vote for me on November 3rd, 2020, it's Arlington Public Schools, Alexandria City Public Schools, Falls Church City Public Schools. Obviously, in those 3 areas, 100% of the population will be represented by me if you vote for me. Fairfax County, only part of Fairfax County is Virginia's 8th district. Other parts are 10th district and 11th district. But I still care about all of Fairfax County. So when I get elected, I will help all of Fairfax County. Yeah, so that's why I'm asking this question, because You, my voters, and some of you have already aligned yourself with me politically, have made a political affiliation with Heerak Christian Kim for U.S. Congress, and how many of you will do so as well. Many of you who might have voted for Don Bayer, you're realizing that he's not serving your needs. You're realizing that he's not really a good congressman. And you're realizing that Heerak would make a better congressman. Heerak is better for you. Heerak is better for your children. Heerak is better for your family. And so you want to vote for me. So I understand that. Because I am a good leader. I am a good shepherd who will, lay down his life for his sheep. And look at this program that I provide to you every day to help you survive COVID-19. Who loves you like I do in Virginia's 8th District? Who cares about you as much as I do? Who cares about you as much as Heerak does? Who wants to be your leader? And that's why you know you want me to be your leader. You want Heerak to be your leader because you know Heerak is not only a good leader, Heerak cares about you and your family. What we need to do is answer this question. As you know from my tweets and from previous discussions, where I kind of hinted, and talked about this, without talking at length about it, is that Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County public schools should close and announce that they're going to close for fall 2020 because that is the right thing to do. Excuse me. That is the right thing to do. Even as we are suffering, we realize even though we want to go outside, we want everything to get to normal, we realize that some things cannot go to normal, at least not right now. Let's say a vaccine develops by August and it's foolproof and it works 100%. Then yeah, you could make a decision to open up in September, there's no problem. But Dr. Fauci has said, even in November, he's worried about voting because there's going to be COVID. So they have to figure out a way for people to vote, maybe cover their face like this and keep 6 feet apart. But Dr. Fauci said he expects COVID-19 to continue all the way into November. Now, if Dr. Fauci, the director of infectious diseases, he's the nation's #1 expert on it, is saying it's going to continue into November, there's high chance that it will. And most experts say that it will continue into November. Harvard School of Public Policy experts say that we need to social distance until year 2022, 2 years from now, because vaccine is not going to be developed for 18 months, at least, and it may not be developed until then. And COVID-19 is going to continue. It doesn't look like it's a seasonal virus, and there are a lot of viruses that are not seasonal. It's like 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 24 hours a day. No pause, viruses exist. And it's looking more and more like COVID-19 is one of these kinds. So Harvard University, the #1 university in America, maybe in the world, their School of Public Policy, Public Health, which kind of trains people to fill public health departments all over the country, like Arlington Public Health. Many of them take their cue from Harvard School of Public Health and experts there. Now, it is recommending, and the researchers there are recommending at Harvard, that we social distance until year 2022. The music industry just announced that they will probably not have any concerts until fall of 2021, because they are realizing this thing is not going to stop. And in concert, people are kind of crunched together. They don't want people to die. So music industry is saying we're just not going to have any concerts in the fall 2021. So music industry, they make money off of these concerts. The music industry is willing to not make money to save lives, or they don't want death of people to be on their hands, right? Then you have to start thinking about schools. I mean, we're talking about people who are not experts in advancement of knowledge. They're artists and musicians. And it's a little embarrassing. Arlington County Public Schools, Alexandria City Public Schools, Falls Church City Public Schools, Fairfax County Public Schools haven't really seriously discussed this issue. I mean, they close the school until summer, but parents need to know what's going to happen starting September, right? You can't just string parents along until August and say, surprise, we're going to close the school, and you've been working to go to school, have your children go to school. Yeah, that won't be fair to you. That won't be fair to your children. I mean, you know how you were caught off guard in March when schools closed and you don't know what to do? Do you want to be in that situation in August or September? That is why I'm saying it is only fair to you, the parents, for Arlington Public Schools, Alexandria City Public Schools, Falls Church City Public Schools, Fairfax County Public Schools to say, we are going to announce to you today that we are going to close school for fall 2020. With the exception, if they come up with cure or COVID-19 completely disappears from the earth by August, then we will reopen the school, right? So there is like an exception to the rule, but they need to announce for the sake of public health the school's going to be closed. Why? Reasons to close schools now, not like in August, but now, to announce it now. Now is April. It's soon going to be May. Number one, safety of children, right? We know that this is going to continue because experts are saying so, unless there's a miracle to stop it or a vaccine, which also could be a miracle because by rules of science, vaccines don't get developed earlier than 18 months. It just can't be done. So if it gets developed earlier, then it is a miracle, right? God had a hand in it. So safety of children has to come first. And parents need time to prepare for a new reality in the fall in terms of mentally getting prepared, mentally getting their children prepared from now. And kind of having some curriculum at home that they could teach with their children. They need to develop programs because kids are kids. As you know, I'm a fifth grade teacher. It's a boy elementary school in Anacostia neighborhood, and children. Children are active. They need attention all the time, and you need a program. I mean, every second you need a program to kind of keep them occupied. And those of you who have fifth grader children at home right now and are with them right now know what I'm talking about. Obviously I had dozens of children to teach because I'm a fifth grade teacher and there are dozens of students. So you can imagine how hard it is. I love my kids, fifth graders at Savoy. But, all children are a handful, so yeah. So for safety of children, you need, because you need to prepare for safety in many ways, right? Safety doesn't just mean, it's not a one-shot thing. Like I teach fifth graders. Do you know that when I teach my fifth graders at Savoy Elementary School, from the moment the bell rings and from the moment that I see students to the moment that I see the last students leave the school building, I am on a high alert position because I don't want any student to get injured on my watch or die on my watch. from an accident, because the greatest source of death is through accidents, right? At that age. Um, so I watch my students like a hawk. I mean, but I don't act like a hawk. I act like nothing's happening, but I'm on high alert because I don't want anybody to be injured. And obviously, no one was injured because I'm a good teacher and I take care of my children, But from day one, and at fifth grade, they're kind of pushing the limits. I had one, had one kid who wants to become a pro football player. I'm sure he will, but he had a slightly, I don't want to say violent streak because at that age all the kids play around. But he would like body slam like other students, male and female students. I mean, he's a fifth grader, so he's a little kid. And I had to talk to him, about that. It's more than once. But so anybody could get injured when they're play fighting. They call it, we're just play fighting, Mr. Kim. We're not, we're just joking around. We're just having fun. I'm like, no, you don't body slam people in school. Yeah, and so the football player guy, he did some community football, and his parents are all committed to him becoming a pro football player. So that was their priority. I understand that, I told my students, if you go to college, let's say at Howard, and NFL gives you a contract when you're a freshman, take it. You could always do online education after you retire from pro football, like at age 40. You go back to school at Howard, finish your studies. You're retired, you have nothing better to do. Don't throw away millions of dollars for a college degree. I mean, geez, that's like the stupidest thing you could do. I didn't say that to my students. I didn't say it's the stupidest, but I'm telling you, it's the stupidest thing to do. People go to college to make money, and if you go to like Harvard, I mean, your starting salary is going to be what, 45,000. If you're a football player, they give you a $1 million a year contract, take it. College education isn't that important. For God's sake, people go to college in order to get paid. I mean, let's put things into perspective. You have some teachers who are like, oh, learn for the knowledge, learn for the sake of knowledge. Of course you're going to say that because you're a teacher. You are going to be a teacher from now until you retire. So, geez, of course you're going to tell everybody learn for the joy of learning. You're going to only make like what, 40, 50, 60,000 until you retire, except in DC, actually you can make like 100,000. But in most school districts around the country, you're going to retire at 50, 60,000. You start at 30,000 or less. Of course, you're going to tell everybody the joy of learning is the most important thing because you're a teacher. All you do is teach. You're not making that much money. So some teachers may be jealous at people, their own students who may make $1 million a year. But I told other teachers who kept saying, oh yeah, you should get a college degree even if you get a contract. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, people go to Harvard so that they could make $1 million a year. If you could start out making $1 million a year, take it. And college degree isn't that important. I mean, yes, knowledge is good, but I mean, do you want to starve with a Harvard degree, or do you want to make money without a college degree? I mean, if you can make money without a college degree, do it. I mean, geez. Obviously, college degree is good for helping you get better jobs. So I recommend getting a college degree, but it's unnecessary if you can get a good job to start, because you can always read books on your own, get intelligent on your own, watch this show, see COVID-19 update by Heerak. You get more intelligent watching this show than going to Harvard. I trained at Harvard, obviously, but yeah. So you don't really need to go to college if you don't have to. Only reason you go to college is to make money. I mean, knowledge, yeah, but you could always read books and get knowledge. Watch like History Channel. You don't really need to go to college. Yeah. So yeah, obviously I want you to go to college because I want you to make more money. And generally, going to college will help you make more money. But if you're gonna get a basketball contract or football contract as a freshman, take it. Don't even ask anybody. Just take it. Because you You could help your parents, pay for stuff for buy a house for your parents, pay for yourself. I mean, geez, marry a smart woman. I mean, you have millions that you're a millionaire. Just marry a smart woman, and just by talking to her, you get smarter. I mean, you don't need a college degree. Just take the $1 million contract. You can always finish your college. When you retire from NFL, if you want to. You don't have to. I mean, most people who went to college don't even read. Once they start working. Um, some people don't even read even one book. I mean, college education is useless, really, unless it gives you some money, better paying jobs. It's absolutely useless. But anyway, and you could quote me on this. I stand by it. If you could get $1 million a year job with only a high school diploma, don't go to college. Why should you go to college? There's no point. Yeah. But anyway, but obviously don't do it selling drugs, because drugs are evil. It destroys poor communities. So don't take jobs that are criminal. Even if Democrats legalize dope, don't take jobs that proliferate poverty like marijuana does, proliferate crime like marijuana. So don't take those jobs for $1 million. I mean, you gotta take decent, good jobs. Like, if you could make $1 million fixing cars, being a plumber, being a real estate agent, do it. I had a friend, my best friend Ed Musangs was telling me that his brother had a friend. He just graduated from high school, doesn't have a college degree. And, they went to church together. And at 18, he became a real estate agent. Just got his real estate license, started selling houses. I mean, yeah, selling houses. And, he had a, girlfriend from church. And I guess they were madly in love. They couldn't keep their hands off each other. They ended up getting married like a year later. They married young, like 18 or 19. Neither of them went to college. I think she worked as a, like a cashier at a grocery store, like, Stop and Shop or Giant. And they got married at 18. Both were working, and then they got an apartment together. And they were so happy, they start getting children early on, you could run around and play football and stuff like that. When you have children when you're 18 or 19, and the children grow up, you can actually play with them. If you get married at 40, how are you going to play football with them when they're like 18? You know what I mean? And like roughhouse football, tackle football and stuff like that, So I mean, he has everything. He has a beautiful woman who's a good Christian. He has a real estate job, and she works as a cashier. And after the kids came, he started making more money. So she just kind of raised the kids. They go to church every Sunday, go to Bible study, volunteer through the church. They're happy as a clam, And I mean, that is happiness. I mean, I know people who go to graduate school and they become spinsters, like they're like 40, 30, 30, 35 years old and they're not even married. What's the point? And then it's not like they're getting a good job. They're getting paid like $45,000 a year with all that college degree and all that student debt. And geez, these are the stupidest people in the world, I mean, what did they contribute to society? I mean, they're not even happy with their life. They're not married. They don't have any kids. They have nothing, these people in graduate schools. I mean, I highly recommend, if you could get a job that pays you well, don't go to college. Yeah, it's useless, pointless education. You don't really learn that much in college anyway. Um, so yeah, this real estate guy, he wasn't making too much money. He was selling houses, but he was selling, he was making what? Like maybe 70,000 a year, better than what Harvard graduates make. Many Harvard graduates make with a bachelor's. That's why you had Bill Gates who quit Harvard that first year, or second year, and then you had Mark Zuckerberg quit after first year. I think it was first or second year. If you can make money, why get a Harvard degree? There's no point. You're getting a Harvard degree to make money, right? I mean, that's why they quit. And look, they're the richest people in the world because they quit at the right time. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So this guy, real estate guy, he, during Ronald Reagan years, American economy did really well, and everybody had money. I mean, just everybody. And so people wanted to buy houses, so he was selling a lot of houses. In 1 year, he made like $700,000 just selling houses, which were, $100,000 each. But he sold so many of them. So he became a millionaire in a few years. By the time he was like 25 or 24, he was a millionaire because, he started out at 18. And, you make $750,000 for a few years, you become a millionaire, right? And consider another case. And Mosang's brother, Paul Mosang. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about his private thing, but I mean, he wasn't doing very well money-wise. I mean, he borrowed money from his grandmother and everything. But I'm sharing this because there's good news that show him as a great guy. I mean, like an amazing guy. That's why I'm sharing this news with you. He owed his grandmother $20,000. He was living in the basement of his mom and dad at age like 26 or 27, paying rent. And he had to pay back $20,000 to his grandmother. And he just got his act together. And he was going to college, like college messes up people's lives. I mean, if you're a parent and you've seen your children's life messed up through college, you know what I mean. College messes up a lot of good kids' lives, because a lot of stupid things and weird things happen in college. And those of you parents with kids who got messed up in college know what I mean. So I mean, because he had to live at home because he had no money, he didn't get messed up. He didn't get into the drug crowd in college or get plastered, alcohol plastered because he had to live at home because he had no money. His parents made him pay rent at home after 18. All his sons, they had 3 sons. So they didn't have money. They weren't living in the college dorms. They couldn't party it up. And since they were living at their parents' home, they had a curfew. So none of them got into drugs or, alcohol, drunkenness, just because they didn't have the money. The parents kept them in line by not paying. They said, if you want to go to college, you pay your own way. The parents refused to pay the tuition of the sons. And that's probably the best thing that the parents did, because all of the sons turned out well. None of them got messed up because the parents refused to pay the tuition of their colleges. They're like, you pay your own way. Yeah, that's like the smartest thing. So they all went to local colleges like Drexel University, Temple University, because, their parents are like, we're not paying for your college education. You pay for your own. And I think that's a smart thing to do. People, parents in Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County, I would recommend this. Just when your kids hit 18, just say, you pay for college. If you get a scholarship to college, go with a scholarship. If you don't have a scholarship, you work to pay your way to school or borrow your money. But if you don't have money, just go to NOVA, Northern Virginia Community College, do your 2 years of bachelor's there while working to pay for it. And you're going to pay me rent. And that's the best way to save your children. I'm talking to you parents who make millions a year. You're going to ruin your children if you pay for everything, because they're not going to know the value of money. They're not going to know the value of anything. So the best thing you millionaire parents in Virginia's 8th district can do is tell your children at 18, you're going to start paying rent. You're going to have to make money somehow, not through drugs, obviously, but even if marijuana is legal, because of Democrats who are trying to destroy and rob your children's future, have them pay you rent, have them pay for their college. That's probably the best thing you can do. If you keep paying their way, they're going to go to college. They're going to go to graduate school. And they're going to be like 35 years, lonely, single, may become a lesbian. I mean, is that what you want for your daughter or son? And so they may be popping drugs. They may die of heroin overdose. No, just get them straight in line from 18, get them married off with somebody at their church, start a family, kind of guide them in the path of righteousness. Because most people who go to college get messed up in college. I mean, it's like, if you watch any movie, they're like, oh, I want to go to college because I want to party. And that's true. I mean, what do people do in college? I mean, they waste 4 years just partying it up. I mean, how many college students do you think actually study and prioritize studying in college? I mean, you have to. I mean, a lot has changed in college since you went to college. But so anyway, yeah. So I would recommend if you get a job out of high school with high school diploma, that's going to pay you more than what a college degree will pay you, take the job. You can always get your bachelor's online. I mean, at Liberty University, you could do 100% of the bachelor's online. There are a lot of universities like that in America. I mean, so why go to college? I mean, we're not living in 1970s where you have to physically go to college to get a college degree. I mean, you could stay home, get the college degree. You can work full time, make money while getting your bachelor's degree. I mean, I would recommend it. Just stay at home, do your 4 years of bachelor's online, like at Liberty University or another university that has a 4-year bachelor's. Don't waste your money on dormitory and cafeteria food. I mean, especially after this COVID-19, you're not going to have that much money. So anyways, the safety of children is why you should close the school down. Number two, safety of teachers, principals, and staff, because a lot of teachers are overweight and have pre-existing conditions like diabetes or a heart condition, because a lot of teachers don't get enough exercise because they're just sitting down teaching kids. So a lot of teachers have pre-existing conditions. So, they are high risk group to die if they get COVID. So let's protect the teachers, principals, staff by not opening the school up. Why is this important? Because we're stopping the spread of COVID-19. If the teachers get COVID, they're going to go home and give the COVID to their children, their parents, their wife, their neighbors, their church members. That's not going to be good, right? And Dr. Fauci said it's going to definitely continue until November. I mean, he has spoken, the guru of infectious diseases in America. So it is only 1 + 1 = 2 logical that we close the school down now. Because you want to reduce death and sadness in the community. For God's sake, Arlington County is only 26 square miles. You know how densely populated Arlington is? If COVID-19 starts to outbreak and spread, everybody's going to die. Not everybody, but you know what I mean. It's so concentrated. It's like mini New York City. I mean, just walk outside of your house. I live in a apartment building that you walk out. I mean, it's crowded. I mean, and you could just catch it walking around talking to your neighbors. So, and you know how many apartment buildings there are in Arlington. I mean, this is like COVID-19 is waiting to kill a lot of people in Arlington. That's why every time I step outside of my door, I have a mask on. Because if I run into like a neighbor, I mean, we need 6 feet apart. I mean, I don't want anybody to get COVID and die. I don't want to get COVID and die. I don't want them to get COVID and die. I don't know if I have COVID in my clothing or my hand. If I touch the wall in the hallway, I might have COVID in my hand. I don't want it to spread to anybody. I don't want anybody to spread it to me. So, I tell my neighbors, I'm like 6 feet, 6 feet. You could ask my neighbors every time they like me and they want to get close to me, but I'm like 6 feet, 6 feet, because I want them to survive COVID. And not just, when they're talking to me, I want them to keep 6 feet distance wherever they are, right? With anybody. And so I'm just worried that we're going to become a mini New York just because we're only 26 square miles. We're very densely populated. So if any place in Virginia is going to become like New York City, it's probably Arlington. I mean, how many places in Virginia is densely populated like Arlington? I mean, I lived in, when I was teaching at Petersburg City Public Schools, I lived in Richmond area, Hopewell area, Chesterfield County area, and it wasn't this densely populated. Arlington is incredibly densely populated. It's like COVID outbreaks waiting to happen. I mean, you could see like one building, if COVID starts spreading in one building, if there are like 500 people in one building, like really, really tall skyscrapers, I mean, geez, a couple hundred people could die. So I'm just saying we have to be careful, especially in Arlington because it's very densely populated, and Alexandria is pretty densely populated too. Falls Church seems a little bit more spread out, but Arlington, Alexandria, these are like, especially like in concentrated areas, it's like death waiting to happen. So we want to reduce death and sadness in the community because when people die, people are sad. Arlington is a very small area. Alexandria is a very small area, and so when people die, everybody knows about it. It's going to be sad, demoralizing and sad. And so let's reduce death, and that's why I'm saying let's close the school down for fall. And another reason is, as you know, I'm a teacher. You have to give teachers time to prepare. And you can't just say, surprise, you're gonna do online learning. Like in March, they're like, surprise, you're gonna do online learning. We're gonna give you a week. How are teachers gonna go online? Some of the teachers who talk with me, they've been teaching for 40 years. They started teaching before before they had computers. Like they used to learn on a typewriter in college. How are you going to have them do online instruction, prepare for that in a week? They don't even use a smartboard. There's a smartboard that's like $12,000. They don't use it because they don't know how to use it. Right? So how are you going to have them teach online learning when they're not even using a $12,000 brand new smartboard that's put into the classroom, their classroom? So how many teachers are like over the age of like 40? So you cannot just say, hey, I give you a week to online teaching. I bet these teachers are stressed out to death in Fairfax County where they give you like a week to teachers to go to online learning. Especially if they're looking at a little screen with Zoom with like 30 faces, how are they going to monitor them? For God's sake. How are you going to do online learning with 30 faces, little boxes, Zoom boxes on your small computer screen? Let's look at the logistics of how online teaching will be done for like fifth graders. I'm a fifth grade teacher. Or eighth graders, I taught eighth grade in Petersburg Public School. How are you going to do it? It's easy for politicians to say, yeah, just go to online learning. They don't have to do the teaching. So think about this. If you're a teacher, there are several components. You have to manage the students, 30 students or 20 students, however many are in your classroom. And you have to give information. You have to monitor every student. How are you going to do this online? For God's sake, you think it's easy? And Fairfax County public schools give like a week to teachers to go online. I bet it was a big disaster. I bet 95% of the teachers failed to teach the materials they needed to teach. I guarantee it. I'm sure 95% of teachers fail. Not because they're bad. You're giving them a week to prepare teaching materials in a completely different platform from a classroom. How are they going to do it? In a classroom, you give them like objects, like, what we call manipulatives. Like when you're teaching math, you give them like stuff to touch and use. Like, these like little, you see the 1 + 1 = 2. Those are little things that students can use, move around, right? And we have activities where students are moving around so that they're not bored when they're learning. You can't do this online. How are you going to monitor them walking around in their own homes? And so online learning is a very difficult platform. So if you want education to happen at all, because I'm sure no education happened in the whole month of March and April, and probably no education will happen until they start summer school because teachers are probably like overwhelmed. They probably don't even know how to teach this stuff online, most of them. And monitoring the students, checking their work, they probably don't know what the heck's going on. And obviously school districts have to take part of the blame, but because they need to provide support, but school districts are overwhelmed because they don't know how to do online teaching. I mean, some schools have partial online courses, but certainly not for elementary children. So they don't know what to do. So school districts are at a loss. They probably have no experts for online education for elementary students. Most school districts, almost all of them. So you have to give these people time, right? I mean, how many global experts of online education for elementary school do you think there are? I mean, most states probably have zero. Uh, so, um, so if you announce now in April, we're going to close the school districts down for the fall, then you're telling them what the plan, right? You're going to say, we are going to close the school district down. So now you're 100% sure we're going to close the school down. So you need to prepare for next academic year. You have now May until August to do that, both the school district and the teachers and the principals. Now hire whoever you have to hire to make this happen effectively. Train the teachers during summer. You know, you got to pay them obviously, because teachers generally don't have summer school, but you got to train the teachers because how are they going to do online platform effectively? So give teachers salary like as if they're teaching summer school, but train them during summer to deliver effective online education. And then during summer, June, July, she should probably start in April. Start now to come up with lesson plans, curriculum, delivery systems. So, you know, you got to coordinate, and probably you have to do it simultaneously with the school district, the central office, administration. The principals have to train separately at different times. And the principals have to train teachers. School district have to train teachers. You got to hire some experts to train teachers. I mean, you got to coordinate all this. It's going to take at least 3 months. If you're going to have a successful school year from September, October, November, December, you need these months to prepare for that. And if you say, oh, we're going to close only to May, but we don't know what we're going to do in the fall, then you're not giving any of the school district options. You're going to experience the same thing you're experiencing now in the fall, meaning come September, you're going to have complete failure in Arlington Public Schools, Alexandria City Public Schools, Falls Church City Public Schools, Fairfax County Public. They're all going to fail in the fall if you don't give them enough time to prepare for online instruction from pre-kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. You see what I'm saying? They need time to prepare. If you want your children to learn something in the fall, September, October, November, December, then you have to declare that it's going to be closed and it's going to be online now, or they're not going to start preparing. So let's say I'm predicting 1 million Americans will die by August. Let's say by July, some politicians are still saying, oh, it's just, we hit the thing, we're just in a descent, we can open up everything. But still, you're having, you know, you see my numbers being reached, 1 million people dying by August, and Arlington County Public Schools, Arlington County Board, Alexandria City Council, Falls Church City Council, Fairfax County Board, they say, we decided to close our school down. Like in August. We're going to have the same exact situation in September. Children are going to learn nothing because the teachers did not prepare. School administration did not prepare because you did not close the schools down in April for fall. So they're going to have the same situation when they're like 100% or 99% of the students in Arlington County, Alexandria City Public Schools, Falls Church City Public Schools, Fairfax County Public Schools, they will learn little or nothing. And you're gonna have a lot of frustrated teachers who are angry because they don't know what they're doing. They know the children are not learning because they're not adequately prepared. And part of the fault will be, a large part of the fault is because Arlington County Board did not do the right thing to close the school down now and announce it publicly. Alexandria City Council did not do the right thing and close the school down, giving teachers and administration in Alexandria City Public School System adequate time to prepare for the new platform. Completely different platform. Falls Church City Council did not do the right thing, the courageous thing to close the school down now, thereby giving teachers and administrators time to prepare for the new platform. Do you want your children to learn nothing in year 2021? If you want your children to learn nothing, then do nothing. But if you want your children to learn something, then you need to write to Arlington County board members, every single one of them. You just need to bombard them with emails, letters, phone calls, and tell them close the school down and announce it publicly so that teachers and school district administrators can prepare now to provide effective education for the fall. Same with Fairfax County Board. Write to them every day, call them, email them, bombard them with requests to close the school down because your children are going to learn nothing in the fall. Nothing. If they just string you along, they're stringing you along right now. You don't know what's going to happen in September. And some of you have like 3, 4 children. None of them are going to learn anything from Fairfax County Public Schools if they don't close the school district. They don't go announce that they're going to do online learning for fall semester, and for school district to use their budget toward online education. Your teachers are not going to be prepared. Your principals are not going to be prepared. Your school district is not going to be prepared. Your children are going to learn nothing. Nothing. And high school education is very important. The most important education for anybody is elementary, middle school, high school. College education is kind of useless because you're just kind of building on your high school education and specializing. But you don't really need high school education to survive in society or access any services, institutions, or programs in society. You can survive perfectly with only a high school program. You don't even need a high school degree to survive necessarily, but obviously high school is when you do more critical thinking. So, I mean, I recommend at least getting a high school degree, but you don't really need much more than that to survive in society, become wealthy in society, become a president in society. You don't need a college degree to become a professor. You don't even need a college degree to become a professor. If you become an expert in something by your own book reading and you're able to publish stuff, then you can become a professor somewhere. Yeah. So, but yeah, so high school education is very important. Elementary, middle school, high school education is very important. They're probably far more important than college education. And the effectiveness of elementary, middle school, high school education is integral to the infrastructure building of a country. So we cannot waste year 2021 to 2022 like we did from March, April, and May and June. It's being wasted. You teachers know what I'm talking about in Fairfax County, Arlington County, Falls Church, and Alexandria City. Your students are learning nothing. You're confused. You're probably, this, that they're not learning nothing, but obviously you gotta, follow the forms. Because it's not just a different platform, it's a different world. It's like, I went from Korea to America. It's a different world. I mean, everything was foreign. It's like that for teachers. I mean, yes, they do like chatting and video chatting, but this is not one-to-one video chatting. And this is not even conferencing. We're talking about having 25 faces, people, children. How are you going to monitor them in this little laptop computer? I mean, can you imagine the technology needed to carry out a meaningful classroom instruction online? And you're not giving them any time to prepare for that? That's why I'm saying close the schools down now. And tell everybody you know to watch this show, this particular episode. Everybody you know in Arlington, everybody you know in Alexandria, everybody you know in Fairfax County, everybody you know in Falls Church, tell them to watch this show so that they could write to their leaders to shut the school down so the teachers can prepare so that your children, their children can learn in the fall. I mean, if you love your children, you'll listen to me because I'm a teacher, right? I am licensed teacher in Virginia, Washington, D.C., South Carolina, Alabama, and Tennessee. I'm licensed to teach in English, math, social studies, uh, science, English as second language, special education, and I have several licenses in special education, general special education, hearing impaired special education, emotionally disturbed special education, intellectual disability special. You know, I'm an expert. I'm telling you, even in the field of special education, I'm an expert in a way that a typical special education teacher is not. And I am giving you an advice as an expert. This is a professional expert advice. I mean, if you wanted me to give this advice as a consultant, you would have had to pay me like thousands of dollars for this advice. And I'm giving you this advice for free because I care about you and I care about Virginia's 8th District. I care about students in Arlington Public Schools, Alexandria City Public Schools, Falls Church City Public Schools, and Fairfax County Public Schools. But it seems like Arlington County School Board, Alexandria City Council, Falls Church City Council, and Fairfax County School Board or the County Board do not really care about your children. They're not thinking about these important issues that have direct relevance for your children. Obviously, if they cared about your children, if they really cared, then they would be thinking about these things, talking about these things. So it's a problem. You should vote all of them out in 2020 or 2021 because they don't care about you. They don't care about your children. Why do they have these official county board positions and city council positions? I mean, isn't it during these times of crisis that they're supposed to lead the community, to help the community? It doesn't seem like they're doing that, at least in the area of education. Like they're just hanging the teachers and principals and superintendents and central office out to dry. Like they're just like playing it by the ear. They don't want to plan stuff. And all of you who work know how important planning is for success in anything. This is Heerak Christian Kim, independent candidate for Virginia's 8th District, Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County, who created this program, daily program, COVID-19 Update by Heerak, in order to help you and your family and your children and your parents. Watch this program religiously and every day, and follow me on Twitter or subscribe to this YouTube channel. Tell your friends, and you should tell your friends from other states as well, family, relatives from other states, because this is not just an issue that's happening in Arlington, Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia, Falls Church, Virginia, Fairfax County, Virginia. This is happening in all 50 states. And all the school districts in all 50 states face the same problem. So you should share this with as many people as possible to watch this video, to think about this issue, and to advocate for your children and their future. I hope that you and your family will be well and that you will survive COVID-19.